Folks, the recently concluded KSSA Indian Open featured a dramatic finish for the ages, including an endgame situation that prompted this reaction from commentator and Indian grandmaster Madhav Kamath.
Something I've never seen in a game of Scrabble, ever.
With just 2 rounds remaining in the 33-game event, Irfan Siddiqui sat 1 game ahead of his closest challengers, Grandmaster and defending champion Hubert Wee and fast-rising youth champion Adisha Dissanayake, who had been leading for most of the tournament until Irfan and Hubert finally reeled him in. Hubert would need to defeat Irfan twice in a row to win the tournament, whereas if Irfan could just beat Hubert one more time, he would clinch victory. With the first move of the game, Hubert sheds both of his Bs with his top move of Daba for 24. Irfan draws the first blank, but with no playable bingos, he overlaps with Oo for 21 to aim for one next turn. Not to be outdone, Hubert responds with an overlap of his own in Gade for 28, leaving the solid LST combo on his rack. Irfan draws the dreaded UV combination from the bag, delaying his quest to bingo for another turn, and he plays Viand for 18 to open up a little more space. Hubert draws a U as well, and here he makes an aggressive opening of Luit for just 8 points. This play adds another S-hook to the board in the form of Sloot to add to some of the existing S-hooks on the board. Now with 2 S's and the blank in hand, if Irfan knows the Sloot hook, Unshoes and other similar bingos are available for 76, and the trickier find of Outness is available for 78. Still, he makes the nice find of Sinuos for 68 to take a solid lead. None of the newly opened letters give Hubert a bingo with his balanced tiles, and he pivots to taking his top scoring move of Ogler for 26, retaining the valuable S. Irfan answers with his own top-scoring move of Newly for 38, a smart choice to increase the value of the M left on his rack, with plays hooking My along the top row. However, despite Hubert's clunky-looking draw, the N of Newly lands in just the right spot to give him Infusive for 66, which he spots and plays to stay in the game. It's his only bingo, and he has to play this move even though it gives back some big counterplay along the triple lane. Irfan's top scoring play there is Madden for 45, but instead he plays Damned for a 3-point sacrifice, keeping his R in reserve. This is a clever choice, as drawing any of the 7 remaining E's would give him Damneder as a 36-point safety valve in the future. Hubert actually has this exact play available himself, but he elects to cover up the other open triple and keep a much more bingo-prone leave by playing Ceto, which the computer engine strongly prefers. With the game close to even, Irfan now draws the second blank and jumps back ahead with his best bingo of Pricier for 74, but Hubert strikes right back with Aronite for 79 to knot things up once again. Here, the computer engine's favorite option for Irfan is Exit for 45. Irfan sacrifices a few points to play Zai instead for 36, keeping both the E and R together in his leave to threaten Damneder, which is becoming a more and more appealing scoring option on this rapidly closing board. Hubert answers with by far his top equity play of UFO for 31 points. The cutting-edge Macondo engine likes this play, but has one other amazing idea here. Just Moti alongside Sinuos for 23 points. This play is an extremely creative setup of Hubert's leftover F, which can be hooked to form Motif extending along the triple line for solid scores. If Irfan doesn't have the 4th and final S, he'll be nearly powerless to deal with this setup. Still, UFO is definitely the standard choice here, and with Yo for 21 points available for Irfan keeping a dynamite leave, he instead finally cashes in Damneder for 36, which is absolutely correct here. The board is far too closed to prioritize a good bingo leave, and grabbing points however they can get them is the right path forward for both players. Hubert answers with another top engine choice of cam for 24, keeping 2 vowels on his rack with an unseen tile pool that is looking increasingly consonant heavy. Still, Irfan is now in solid command with an 18-point lead going into his next turn and the 4th and final S on his rack. He has a lot of ways he can go on this turn. He can use his S to score 41 points right now with saws, but this play does open up a bingo lane for 7s on a board that is otherwise nearly completely dead. The same could be said for the snazzy overlap of stylo for 38. Irfan elects to keep things nice and closed with A for 23, saving his S and Z for the future. It's good timing on Irfan's part, since saws would have yielded paretic for 87 back to Hubert. Instead, with no bingo available, Hubert makes a very savvy play of just pick for 19. This play again keeps a balanced leave with 2 vowels to prepare for consonant draws, both of which can hook onto pick to form either pica or pice. At this juncture of the game, the Q is also looking like an extremely tough tile to play. After pick, if Hubert draws it, he can threaten cat for 32, hooking pica. On the other hand, with all the other A's already on the board, if Irfan doesn't have one of the last 2 E's, he'll be in a major bind trying to block the hook, and this is exactly what occurs. Irfan can score with plays like Zoes, but not well enough to outrun a potential bingo there from Hubert. So, Irfan goes for the block at all costs with Colt for just 6 points. This does indeed drop Hubert's bingo chances down to about 1%, but amazingly, the computer engine prefers the play of lulls for 23. Yes, this is a valid Scrabble word, and given the unseen tiles, the only plays that Hubert can even have from the Z to the triple are Zeal and Zeta, whereas Irfan is guaranteed to have the necessary tiles to play Zoot next turn, and more importantly, he keeps both of his vowels for later. Another advantage of this strange looking play is that it draws 1 fewer tile from the bag than Colt, which gives him slightly less of a chance to draw the Q. Down by not quite 30 with 3 tiles left in the bag, Hubert makes a clever play of low for 8 points. He'll certainly need to dodge the Q and likely also the J and Z if he wants to get a bingo down. But there are draws that will allow him to bingo in 2 separate spots on the board that Irfan won't be able to block. In fact, after this play, Hubert draws into haltier and its anagram of leather, which only play at the bottom of the board, not alongside Colt. Now with only 1 tile in the bag, Irfan has drawn the J and the Q to go alongside his Z, giving him 3 power tiles at once to manage. If the G is the final tile in the bag and he doesn't block haltier, he will lose on the spot. Fortunately, he has a good play that scores well and blocks it in jeton for 36. The only problem, as commentators Madhav and Josh Sokol quickly pointed out, is that the Q and Z could quickly become impossible to play on this incredibly tight board.
But neither player has enough time to figure any of this out. Oh my goodness.
He's going to be able to play the G and the S, but the Q and the Z could end up stuck.
Although Hubert is now down by 56 and just had his game-winning bingo blocked, he recognizes that the Q is completely unplayable and that the Z plays in only 1 spot. So he wisely blocks it with he for 18. Unable to play either the Z or Q anywhere, Irfan plays Sig for 14 to again go up by over 50 points. Technically, Hubert can now play off his remaining tiles slowly here to maximize his winning margin. But with his clock dwindling, he simply plays out now with Tatler for 14, completing the extremely rare Q and Z stick and collecting 40 points from those tiles to finish with a remarkable 2-point win in this must-win game. Returning to Irfan's jeton play for a moment, this play would have won the game for him had the A been the final tile in the bag, giving him the ability to play his Z in 2 separate locations. The play of Xian for just 11 points would also have allowed him to win with an E draw, threatening huge S hooks that Hubert would struggle to block and backup options to play the Z. Given the G that was actually the last tile in the bag, there doesn't seem to have been a viable winning alternative for Irfan here. Shedding the Z earlier in the game may have been his only chance. In the final round of the tournament, Hubert defeated Irfan for a second time despite Irfan's gorgeous out bingo of Deister with a slew of hooks and overlaps. This final round win successfully completed Hubert's comeback to defend his KSSA championship from 2025. Kudos to all of the top finishers in the tournament and to the KSSA stream team for the fantastic coverage. And as always, thank you so much for watching.